Donald prized himself out from beneath the sheets and slinked over to his separate bed. He didn't go to the guest room. He didn't want to feel banished. So he slinked over to the separate bed. He wanted nothing more than just to be close, physically close, to the woman he loved. He wished that her warmth was the last thing he felt before he slept, and the first thing when he woke. He wanted to comfort her when she twitched as she dreamed. But yet there was a solid yet invisible barrier between the two. It could never be that way between them, no matter how hard Donald tried to bring down her walls. "Good night," he said with sorrow, only to be met with silence. Doris was ignoring him. He called out to the open air once more. "Good night." The silence deepened. How sad. He could not even get a word out of his wife. Not a single word. Donald tossed and turned under his cold sheets, growing increasingly more resentful by the moment. He wanted to take back some of the control he used to have anyway. He wanted to give Doris no choice but to acknowledge his existence. Donald's spite overtook him. He reached out to his nightstand and removed the telephone from its cradle. He made a call, and the matching phone next to Doris rang loudly. Confused, she picked her phone up, anticipating the worst. Bad news from a loved one, or maybe something even worse. She was entirely oblivious to the possibility it was actually Donald calling her from the bed at the other side of the room. "Hello?" She answered the phone. Now it was Donald's turn to send some pain her way. He wasn't proud of the fact that he wanted to inflict emotional harm upon her, but he strongly believed she gave him no choice. Not this time, not anymore. She needed a taste of her own medicine. "You ratbag!" he yelled with anger down the phone. Doris stirred in her bed and thrashed out. It took Donald by surprise. But he wasn't invested in what she might do. He wanted to get his anger out, direct it at her. Doris leaped out of the bed and stormed into the wardrobe and began to collect her belongings. She quickly shoved them one by one into a big suitcase. She didn't have much care about choices, what to bring with her, or how long she would be gone. All she wanted to do was to get away from him. Donald watched her shadow move from the bed, knowing that he probably could have let his anger dissipate, let his anger go. But he was exhausted out of choosing the high road. He was tired of her coldness and rejection. And it was about time he made this clear. Not making any attempts to be quiet or delicate, Doris banged and slammed around the room with her belongings, and she bolted past the bed out towards the door. Donald just watched in silence. Deep inside, he still longed for her, even with the anger at its peak. If she were to just show him an ounce of love, he would let it all go. But no such thing came from her. Instead, she bustled to the door and stormed off into the night, slamming the door shut behind her so hard that it rattled their wedding portrait that hung near to the door. Donald envisioned it falling to the floor and cracking. How fitting it would be to see it all shatter, crumbled to pieces. Donald was left alone now to stew in the house that was no longer a home to him. It didn't come with love or care. It was an empty vessel of the past. He felt anger and sadness and wondered what his marriage could have been if it hadn't turned so sour.